work product of Townhall.com investigative reporter Mia Cathell. She investigated a LGBTQ pedophile ring in suburban Georgia. To a gay couple, two men who adopted two boys and set about to sexually abuse them and pimp them out to others to sexually abuse them. And it's not just a graphic story for the sake of being graphic. It also implicates some public policy that needs to be discussed.
And they adopted these kids through a Christian special needs adoption agency.
Mia Cathell joins us now. Mia, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing this story. I really appreciate you giving the attention it deserves.
Our pleasure. So tell us about this gay couple in suburban Georgia.
Yes, so this couple, the Zulocks, William and Zachary Zulock, they were married men, and they adopted these boys through this faith-based special needs adoption agency in Georgia. And so now, 4 years later, they've been arrested and they're charged. According to a 17-count indictment, these felony child sex crimes range from incest, sodomy, to felony prostitution of a minor. So the affidavit, the other kind of court documents allege that these adoptive fathers use their adopted boys to create child pornography and also pimp out their children to nearby pedophiles.
And we're talking third and fourth grade at the time, I believe, and it was years of abuse. But who tipped them off finally, and who came forward to police to let them know what was going on?
One of the men who were allegedly solicited by the adoptive fathers, he was busted downloading child pornography of the older child. And so police swarmed his house. And during the search warrant that was executed there, he apparently snitched on the adoptive fathers and pointed to where they're located. And that's how we are here today.
And you were able to, I think it was through a family member, get access to jailhouse calls and other documents that really provide a lot of the context and the details, graphic as they are, about what these two men did to these young boys.
Yes, this family member who spoke out because they're concerned about the children's well-being. They're now back in foster care. It seems that this cycle is continuing because they were adopted from this abusive household as well, it seems, a broken household where their biological parents were addicted to heroin. Then they were placed in this abusive household, child predators, and then now we don't know where they are. We're just praying for their safety, their well-being, and these jailhouse calls seem to shed a light on what the men were thinking. There doesn't seem to be any kind of remorse. They barely even asked about the boys and if they're okay. They seem to be more concerned about themselves and how they're going to be treated in jail.
And they lived in... Oh, sorry, Dan.
How expansive was this ring, because it wasn't limited to their household?
Right. There's almost 12 potential co-defendants out there. The one adoptive father admitting to sending the child pornography to less than 12 people. So the district attorney is still investigating these potential suspects for circulating the videos of these abused boys.
Oh, my God. And one thing that I don't understand, they live in such a palatial estate, and the one father, the 33-year-old, he was a government worker, basically worked at DMV, and then the 35-year-old was a banker, not an investment banker, but it seems like a teller. So how are they able to afford that place? Was it possibly from profits off of selling child pornography?
That's a question that a lot of the family members are asking now, because their house was mysteriously constructed in half a year. It's in an affluent suburb where other houses are selling for $900,000. This was something that was custom built. It was designed by one of the adoptive fathers, and the couple always seemed to tout their wealth. It seemed like an image of success was very important to them. And so we will see as it plays out in court. For right now, the house has been seized by the state. It's property of the sheriff's office. I believe that the district attorney's office is seeking civil remedies against it. They were possibly floating the prosecution proceeding forward under the child sex trafficking statute of the state's own RICO Act. So that's something that we'll see more of the details on how sophisticated this operation was.
And are these two the adult men here? Are they? Do they defend their pedophilia? Is this a case where they're sort of winking and nodding and saying they're minor attracted persons, or that minors shouldn't be off limits? I mean, this is sort of the last frontier in this sexual identity politics, is mainstreaming pedophilia by terming pedophiles minor attracted persons, which we've discussed on this show a number of times. There's been out and proud, to borrow a phrase, op-eds and argumentation in favor of pedophiles, and I wonder if that's something that they believed based on what you know, or what we know to this point.
In their jailhouse tapes, as I said, they aren't remorseful at all. It's all boo-hoo kind of sob stories from behind bars. But if you were to look at photos from within the house, they had a lot of pride decor that said "love is love everywhere." And that's something that's a mainstream LGBT slogan, but a lot of these self-described minor attracted persons, as you're saying, have hijacked that mantra to believe that it can include the P, include pedophilia. And so I believe they may have been, subscribed to this kind of ideology. There were a lot of pro-inclusivity posts that you could read between the lines there. So, and then I believe in the court documents, it also said that the couple allegedly told their sons, "Our business is our business. What happens in our home stays in our home." So the kind of intimidation the children felt is unreal. So I do believe they may have been leaning towards that kind of pro-pedophilia, pro-normalization of sexual attraction to children.
Well, didn't they admit it, though? Because I read part 1, 2, and 3, and I thought one of the suspects admitted to having fondled or touched the older boy.
Well,
there were criminal
they both did more than that.
I know they did horrible, horrific things that I don't even want to talk about, but it's in the article. But is that true?
Yes, there are criminal arrest warrants that say that both William and Zachary have admitted to some of these sex crimes. William admitting to forcing the one child to perform oral copulation on him. Zachary admitted to being the cameraman, to filming this, and authorities allegedly found a folder on his cell phone labeled "Us" that had videos of William sexually abusing their older child.
And the other question, and this becomes a part of the public policy discussion, how did these two get these boys in the first place to the adoption process?
That's something that, I'm still trying to understand. How can this licensed adoption agency in Georgia, it's now defunct, it dissolved last year, they didn't see any of the warning signs, and there were more than just red flags. The one adoptive father was previously accused of raping a 14-year-old boy in the same county, in the same jurisdiction as today's case. But accused, no charges were filed.
Accused, but no charges. But the accusation, you would think that would be something that an adoption agency would want to fully explore. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I don't know, but that would be something that would, I think, set off some red flags.
You would think if there's a police incident report that the case is based on, that could have generated some kind of hit, especially for how egregious the charge was. But the sheriff's office told me they had different investigatory standards back then. Even though this was 2011, we're not talking about 50 years ago. But even the district attorney's office said that the investigation was closed without a whole lot of investigation into the matter.
Is this now defunct adoption agency also under criminal investigation, or the principals at that agency?
Right now, I don't believe any kind of action is being taken against it. There is an Office of the Child Advocate that investigates abuse within the child welfare system in Georgia, and I believe a family member may be seeking that route to hold Children's Department of Family and Children's Services accountable, hold All God's Children Incorporated accountable, because there was just a lot of negligence in how they failed to protect these children.
And it's so gross online on the Instagram. I mean, they cover their faces, but they're just love the attention that they're getting as adoptive gay fathers. And if this was a conservative gay couple, I think the world would know about this story. But nobody, I mean, you have Atlanta, you have WSBT TV, nobody covered the story. It didn't even make national news except for Townhall and the great work that you did.
There has been a complete media blackout, and you would hope that these local outlets would have been the first one on the case, especially if it's happening in their backyards, but we haven't really seen anything from AJC, any other kind of prominent outlets in the Atlanta area, given that human trafficking and sex trafficking in general, very big issue in Atlanta. And so for something to happen in the suburbs, to happen in communities and neighborhoods where children go to school is just unbelievable.
And you said at the outset, I just want clarity, that the boys are now back in the state's foster care system, so you don't know where they are?
That's correct. That's as far as any of the other family members know. The adoptive fathers had to sign over their parental rights at an August 1st hearing, and so for right now, they're in foster care, and we're just praying that they've begun to heal.
And these two scumbags, they're not going to see the light of day, are they?
Well, it seems that the district attorney's office really throwing the book at them, which is great. The judge denied them bond because they're deemed flight risk, dangerous to children in the community, at risk to commit new felonies. And so now the district attorney's office is moving to sever them as co-defendants to get them to testify against each other. And so we'll see how that plays out. There's a motion hearing next week, and so we're proceeding forward. So right now they've pled not guilty.
And if and when they're convicted, hopefully they'll be imprisoned for a short period of time, because you'll just let them out in the yard, and what happens in jail to pedophiles will happen. But I digress. Any reaction from LGBTQ advocacy organizations in the greater Atlanta region?
I haven't seen any organizations yet. I've received a lot of emails from the same kind of people cut from that cloth that were upset that I denoted that they were gay activists, that they were part of the LGBTQ community. Media Matters wrote kind of a hit piece style story because we failed to report on this. But for right now, it's pretty quiet, even though these LGBT activists, their whole identity is being gay, being pro-inclusivity, but when they're charged with these heinous crimes, all of that just disappears.
I would think that Lambda Legal and equality organizations, these gay rights organizations, would want to be first to the microphone to denounce this conduct and separate these two from other gay couples that are, law-abiding and perfectly fine American citizens and so forth. I'm interested if you have reached out or are going to attempt to reach out to such organizations for comment.
I may reach out to the Human Rights Campaign, especially since the couple took a selfie with the boys in front of its headquarters in D.C., and it's the largest pro-LGBTQ lobbying advocacy group in America, and they specifically posed near the gay part of the sign that shows all the groups that they represent. And so we'll see if they denounce it as well. But you would think that a lot of these groups would come forward and make the distinction that at large, the community doesn't prey on children.
Mia Cathell is an investigative reporter for Townhall, townhall.com. The story we investigated is Suburban LGBTQ Pedophile Ring. Here's what we found. There's 4 parts so far. We'll continue to follow the story. Great investigative reporting. Mia, thanks for this, and stay in touch on it, won't you?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Exercise more, lose 10 pounds. Tired of New Year's resolutions you can't keep? Here's one you can keep, saving more for retirement. If you're a small business owner, independent, professional, consultant, or self-employed individual, according to the IRS, you may be able to save up to $265,000 a year pre-tax. You may think, I already have a retirement plan. I can't put away that much each year for retirement. No, you can't. Not with a traditional retirement plan, but you can with a defined benefit plan. A defined benefit plan is IRS approved